Hello everyone. How to pass the CMA exam with a good score. We are going to talk about the tips and tricks related to that in this video. This video is a compilation of all the tips that I have learned while I was preparing for the CMA exam. And of course, many of my friends who passed their CMA exam, they also shared tips. And I am very sure that in case you happen to follow all these tips, you're definitely going to crack the CMA exam in the first attempt itself. So let's start off with the tips and tricks. We all know that CMA is one of the certifications which can take us a milestone ahead of others as far as our career is concerned. Not only that, having this certification is definitely an asset. I just want to go in for a short flashback as to why and how I did my CMA. Because after listening to that, you'll definitely feel if she can do it, definitely we can also do it. In fact, many years back, I just left my job because at that time I felt my family needed me more than I needed a job. So a few years I spent like that. After that, I felt okay. Now it's time for me to again go back to a job. At that time, I felt that a very important certification has to be added on to my existing qualification so that I'll be considered because many years had passed. That is when my husband told me, okay, do one thing, you do CMA, that's definitely going to be an asset to you. And I agreed. And you can't believe, with lots of mistakes, lots of learning in the process, I somehow cracked the exam with a good score. That is when I got the confidence that I can tell others also that if they follow these tips, they can also pass the CMA exam with a good score. So let's get on to the tips. The three most important things that I learned is that we need to commit ourselves to CMA study. Secondly, we have to dedicate 1 or 2 hours on a regular basis to the studies. Otherwise, it's really difficult because it has a vast coverage of topics. And unless and until we really dedicate ourselves, say 1 or 2 hours, that's more than enough every day. If you spend 1 or 2 hours, that is more than enough for you to crack the exam. And definitely you have to be consistent and persistent in your efforts. There may be topics which might be quite difficult, but at that time, you should not feel I won't be able to do it or anything. Because all the topics, once you practice a lot of questions based on them, you're definitely going to master the concepts. So commitment, dedication, and being consistent and persistent in our efforts, these are the most important points which you have to keep in mind. Now let's discuss some exam preparation tips. As I told you, you should have a regular study pattern. Now I have heard 1 or 2 incidents where I know few people who just studied 1 week before the exam, or maybe 1 month dedicatedly they studied for the exam and they cracked the exam. But there are very few cases like that. So we should always go in for the with the idea in mind that I need to prepare regularly so as to crack the exam. Secondly, covering all the practice questions is very important. Whichever material for CMA you're following, see to it that all the questions, whether it is MCQ, multiple choice questions, or essay questions, it's very important that you cover all of them. Even if it's 2 or 3 times covering the same topics or same questions, it's perfectly fine. It will only help you further master the concepts. Now, another yet very important thing is that for each MCQ or for each question, you have certain explanations given in your material. So please make it a point to see to it that you, even if your answer is right or if your answer is wrong, see to it that you go through the explanation given by them. This is one of the reasons why many people don't pass the exam, because they don't go through that. If the answer is right, they feel it's okay. But sometimes what happens is the reason why I think, suppose my answer is right, and I have a particular reason for that. But when you go through the explanation, you'll find that the reason is entirely different. So whether your answer is right or your answer is wrong, it's very important that you go through all the explanations given in the coverage material. How to read various topics and the material and practice the related questions. Now take individual topics. Suppose you're doing the chapter 1 from unit 1. In such a case, see that you read the lesson once, try to understand it. But please do not try to memorize it or only do the questions after you become perfect in the theory. No, that is not at all the right way. What you can do is go through the lesson, start practicing the questions, MCQs related to that lesson immediately. Okay, one topic you covered, practice the questions. And while doing the questions, when you have doubts, come back to the theory and go through it once again whenever you have a doubt. This way, what I have seen is it's very, very easy to even memorize the formulae and various things that you need to even memorize. Okay, so please do not try to read 5 to 10 times and then do the questions. Just read it once, understand it, and then start attempting the questions. Whenever you have a doubt, go back to the concept. I think that's a very, very important point. Please keep that in mind. And of course, it's very important that you master the concepts, whichever topic it is. Please do not go weightage according to the weightage. Just take individual chapters and just master the concepts. Even if you practice the questions, as I told before, 3 or 4 times, you will, each time you do a new question, you will see that your concept is getting further strengthened. And whichever material you're following, see that first you finish that completely. And then you go to for the extra questions which you may get from your friends or from the net or whatever it is. So it's very important that you master them. Do not think that, okay, this is coming on only for 10% weightage this particular topic has. I will not give importance to it. No. Please give equal weightage or equal importance to all the units. Try to do as many questions as possible, first from the material that is given to you and then for extra questions. Regarding referring extra material, sometimes what happens is certain topics, it will never become clear to you when you are just sitting for your class. So in that case, please do watch lots of YouTube videos on that particular topic. That greatly helps in understanding the concepts which you could not otherwise understand. In same way, please make flashcards of all the formulae that you have. Make the soft copy also so that anytime you're free anywhere, you can just rush through the formulae. Because if you're very good at the formulae and you know how to apply them, it greatly helps. Sometimes we have a doubt in mind whether we should take both the exams together, that is part 1 and part 2 together, or should we take it individually? As far as I have seen and I have experienced, it's a personal suggestion that please do not try to attempt part 1 and part 2 together. Just take one part at a time, devote yourself to it and crack it. And then you go in for the other one. That is my personal opinion because that really helps you concentrate on one part and each part has vast coverage. So it's always better to take one part, finish it and then get on to the next part. And MCQs and essay questions and the test bank, please do not forget to do as many times as you can. And let it be a surprise. Do not keep telling everybody that that's my personal suggestion that I have written the exam, I'm going to write the exam. Because, then once you write the exam, then you always have that feeling that, okay, now what I'm going to tell others if God forsake, if you don't get through. But then if you follow these tips, it's definite that you'll 100% get through. Okay. Another very, very important point is keeping in touch with the various topics and formulae that you have already covered. Normally what happens, like say CMA part 2, there are around 10 chapters. So as we finish one chapter and we go ahead, we tend not to keep in touch with the topics we have covered. So what happens is after you say you cover 4 or 5 chapters, you feel, oh my God, I don't know anything from the previous chapters. So just in order to avoid such a feeling of loss, it's very important that you keep in touch with the various topics and formulae that you have already covered. For that, the best suggestion I can give you is that like once, thrice a week or every alternate day, take up 10 questions from your test bank or 15-20 questions from your test bank, which has all the topics that you've covered, and solve the questions. It could be just twice a week or thrice a week. But then, even when you finish the 10th chapter, you will see that you have not forgotten anything related to your previous topics. So then it will be just next stage, that is practicing all the test exams, like 100 questions at a time. So please see that you keep in touch with the topics and formula which you have covered. Do not leave it, because I have personally experienced that after, suppose you don't keep in touch with the previous 2 topics, the 3rd chapter comes and you feel as if, oh God, I don't know anything from the last 2 chapters. So keep once or twice in a week practice questions from taking all the covered topics together. The last but the most important topic that some way I made a mistake in was my attitude. Initially, I had the attitude always that, oh, I was doubtful whether I'll be able to crack the exam or not, whether I'll be able to prepare for the exam. Always that element of fear was there in me, that lack of confidence and that attitude difference. But I strongly tell you, it's all in the mind, and success is definitely a mind game. You decide you're going to crack the exam, you decide that I'm not going to be scared, and look, you'll be there. You'll definitely crack the exam. So please keep your attitudes very, very positive. Be very strong. Even if it happens that you don't crack it for the first exam, don't worry, because by the time you do your second exam, truly saying, you become much more a master in all the concepts. So keep your attitude that success is a mind game. You are deciding whether you're going to crack the exam, and you will do it. Okay? And it is for sure that if you follow all the tips that I've given in the video, you're definitely going to crack the exam in the first attempt itself. Please let me know how you found these tips, and once you start following, if they're really useful, please do let me know in comments below. Thank you so much for watching CMA Hour. See you in my next episode. Thank you. Bye bye. Stay safe and happy.